A little bit of crazy, but a whole lot of right. You're listening to the Average Joe Podcast with Damon Gilbert.
Hello, everyone. How are we doing today? I tell you, this doing these shows is so frustrating. My God, I did a whole hour just a minute ago. It was a pretty good show, actually. It's about, whatever. It's going to be about what this one's going to be because I had to redo it. You want to know why? Because my microphone was off. Yeah. This morning, I had the same problem. I was taking my walk and I was trying to tell a story, something that I could publish on YouTube. Just my random thoughts for the day. And apparently I forgot to press the record button. Yeah. Technology is a real pain in the ass sometimes. It was so much easier when I used to do it, and all I did was talk. That's it. But you get into the video part of it, and it just turned everything completely upside down. It really did. It made it very frustrating. I did enjoy it for a long time. I still enjoy doing it, but it is so frustrating now. Everything has to be exactly right. And mind you, they may warn you about a half a dozen different things. Oh my gosh, did you do this? Did you do that? Please do this and buy this and buy that. Subscribe to this. They love doing that. I'm talking about the formats that set you up for doing podcasts or a show of any kind. Oh, they love doing that. They want your money. Oh my God, they love your money. But God forbid they'd put a thing on here that says, hey, by the way, your microphone's not on, you idiot. Yeah. No, they don't do that. Nothing like that. So I can go through a whole hour of content and no sound whatsoever. It's unbelievable. I tell you, folks, I saw something the other night, and it was just a meme, and I think it's accurate. I really do. I think it's accurate, and the essence of it, I'm not going to go into a great deal of depth, but the essence of it was that the world as a whole is providing the United States of America at this point with their morons, their stupid people. That's what they're doing. They're sending their worst people they can find and they want to get rid of over to the United States. That's what they've done over the past decade. And I think that's actually true. And the problem is those people, those idiots, are mating and having children with our idiots. Follow me? And they're doing it multiple times. And they're allowing you and I, the taxpayer, to help pay for this, to support them. It's ridiculous. We as a society are in a lot of trouble. And if we don't put our foot down, they're going to win. Well, the story I'm going to tell you here, and we're going to talk about here in a minute, is just one example of how the democratic socialists of America want to take the United States down. That's all they're about. Don't let them kid you. Don't let them tell you something about we're Democrats, but we're socialists. No. You're communists. That's what you are. And you're either too stupid or too corrupt to admit it. The AOCs of the world, the Zohran Mamdanis of the world, the Katie Wilsons from Seattle, they're all idiots. And they're here, basically, they're setting in place a plan to destroy America. And here's a message to all my Democratic friends. Because I used to be a Democrat years ago. I thought we were fighting a good fight. I really did. For the average guy. That's what I thought. I really did. My whole family was Democrat. We felt, this comes back from FDR and the New Deal and Kennedy, and you go down the list. And then I started looking into it a little bit more, and I found out, not exactly. Okay. Was that what turned me into an independent? No, it didn't. I can't stand the Republicans either. So don't get me wrong. And if you listen to me long enough, you know that. And I like to point that out on occasion because there may be new people listening that don't really understand where I come from and how I look at these things. But the Democratic Socialists of America are here to destroy the life and the country that you've come to know and love. That's what they're here for. And I want to send a message out to my Democratic friends, and I have several of them. Rethink your reasoning. These people cannot be trusted. They are here to destroy you. And they don't care who they got to walk across and walk over to get to their final goal. That's what this is all about. They're going to wrestle control away from Americans. And the way they're going to do this is to destroy these cities from within. That's going to be the first part of it. Urban cities to this day, right now in the United States, cities all across the country, especially in blue states, are absolutely crumbling. Why is that? It's because of their leadership. It really is. New York City is about to fall. People are moving out in droves. You've got, and I predicted this a year or so ago, if you remember correctly. I said, and I still believe that this is going to come to fruition. This is going to come true. The New York Stock Exchange will go the way of the buggy whip. What will happen is finance in America will become the center point, the ground zero for finance in the United States will be Dallas, Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth. It will. New York City's losing some of the largest financial companies. They're all moving to Dallas. Lehman Brothers, Bears and Stern, Citicorp, they're all moving down there. The New York Stock Exchange will become a ghost town. And why is that? It's because of guys like Zohran Mamdani. They've put him in a position of power. His job is to destroy everything he sees. That's his job. He's the white version. I guess you'd call him white. He's from Uganda. I don't know how that all worked. That is the weirdest story. He tells you the story rags to riches nonsense. It's not true. His mom was a well-known filmmaker. His dad was a professor. I mean, this guy comes from money. He's never done a day's work of labor in his life. So don't let him kid you. Anytime you hear that story, it's all bullshit. That's not true. Yeah. But he wants you to believe this. And he came out of nowhere. He is the white version. He's a white Obama, is what he is. Talks a good game, promises you the world, says absolutely nothing. Talks about free stuff. Remember the Obama cell phones? All that stuff. Same thing here. It's a playbook. He got the playbook handed to him. He said, here's how you're going to do it. We need to take over New York City. That's our first step. When we want to destroy the country, we have to take over New York City. It's just the way it works. We have to do this. The coasts, that's Los Angeles, New York City, Seattle. They're all going to fall. And guess what? They're all run by Democrats. You name me. If you look on a government official rankings of some of the worst cities in the country, worst cities. I mean, and the way they judge it is by crime and per capita earning, everything, murders. When you look at the worst ones, they're all Democrat. They're all run by Democrats. And usually they're run by black women. Is that a racist thing to say? No, it's just an observation. Look at LA, mayor out there, black. Memphis, black woman. Atlanta, black woman. All of them are failing. They've all got super problems. You've got people on a regular basis. I almost look at the news every day, and I find a Democrat that's going to jail for corruption, who was involved in cities all across the country. They're showing their cards, folks. That's what they're doing. They're telling you what they're going to do. They're showing you how they're going to do it. The cities in this country run by Democrats, more often than not by black women, are failing around the country. There's no other way to look at this. The rankings for the worst cities to live in the country are all run by liberals, by Democrats. There's no getting around that. They're going to fail. And one of the reasons they're going to fail is what we're going to talk about here in just a few minutes. I know, I got off on, I was going to talk about this right out of the gate, but I got started on this, so we're going to finish it. Bottom line, people are moving to Florida. People are moving to Texas. People are moving to Tennessee. People are moving to Missouri. Why is that? Because they're more business friendly. And at the end of the day, say what you want about business. Business is what drives the American dream. It just does. Without these billionaires, without these millionaires, these people who go into business, who risk their money, are the ones that create jobs for people to go to. It's that simple. There's no other way to look at it. But in the socialist mind, they think that these people should be taxed to their death. They want to take all their money. They want to redistribute the millions or billions of dollars these people have created and give it to people that don't deserve it, who've not earned it, who've not worked for it. Let me ask you this. How many people do you know, or how many people have you seen that you know personally, maybe secondarily, who are lazy? I know several. I mean, may not be intimately, but they don't want to work. We're talking about a large segment of society in the United States right now that have given up and do not want to work anymore, and have been told by the Democratic Socialist of America that they are due. Well, they're entitled. They're entitled. They should be allowed to lay around, not do anything, play video games, and let their neighbor who works help support them. That basically, in essence, is the message of the Democratic Socialists of America. And that is the message that the larger cities are sending to their citizens. The Democrats are running these cities into the ground. And it's a plan. It is, in fact, a plan. Most of them are running at deficits. Their infrastructure is falling apart. But we've got plenty of people working in the local governments, making tons of money. We've got people stealing, corruption. Through the pandemic, there are people going to jail right now. Democratic Party, for the most part, who stole money from COVID funds. There was money that was put in place to help businesses survive that. And what did they do? They stole millions. The Democratic Party did. Most of these people are Democrats. That's how the Democratic Socialist Party works. I'm surprised they're getting in trouble for it. If there was a Democrat in the White House, I guarantee you they would. Because up to this point, they have not been called out on this. That's why it's taken this long. finally somebody standing up and saying, hey, you broke the law, and now maybe you should pay for it. Well, what we've got now is a guy in New York City, the mayor of New York City, who is the plan that he's got right now. It's hard to describe what my feelings when I see his face on TV. I mean, there was a time when Barack Obama would come on TV, and this is back when I kind of thought maybe he may be the answer in his first run. You know, I was caught up in it. I admit it. Maybe this was the guy. Maybe he was going to be able to turn things around. I had people tell me all the time, have you listened to what he says? He's not saying anything. It's all platitudes, and it's meaningless what he's talking about. Hope and change. Okay, same thing with this guy. And I keep pointing over here because he's on my screen over here. Let me put him up on the screen. Yeah, this guy. Uh-oh. Looks like we are. Oh, they're leaving. Okay, we got a kid starting East Central college this next week, and it's quite a deal getting him ready. So anyway, this is the guy right here, Zohran Mamdani. So say it right, because I've been getting it wrong the whole time. It's Mamdani. Okay, we're gonna make sure we know this. This guy, he's from Uganda. Okay, he grew up in Uganda, came to the United States when he was young, became an American citizen. He'll tell you that it's a rags to riches story. That's total nonsense. His mother was a filmmaker. They had money. His dad was a professor. He's done really well. He's never had a real job in his whole life. He started out, I think, as a community organizer, and he moved up to city council. Next thing you know, out of the clear blue, this guy shows up and runs for New York City mayor. Yeah, this is not it's not an alderman for a small town or city. This was the equivalent of Donald J. Trump becoming president. That's how big of a deal this is. This idiot, this guy right here that you're looking at, this moron, with his great smile and his great hair and his demeanor that reminds me of a used car salesman. He's the guy that's in charge of New York City right now. He started out last year. I'd never heard of him. I heard of him probably sometime April of last year, probably May of last year. It's been a little over a year that I knew him, or I'd known his name. And he started telling everybody that he could run this city better than Eric Adams, which I believe I could probably run better than Eric Adams, but that's a whole other story. What did he do? He started promising citizens of New York free stuff, free transportation, free daycare. We're going to take that money. We're going to get it from the rich. Everything's going to be free. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to make the rich pay. That's what we're going to do. These people that got millions and billions of dollars, we're going to make them pay for everything. That's how I'm going to pay for all this. I'm going to steal it from the rich and give it to the poor. He is the version of a Robin Hood. That's what he tried to portray back when he was running for office. Now, he was going up against Andrew Cuomo. Okay, now Big Andy, he was the governor. He was the governor of the state of New York. He thought, and he got into trouble over COVID and sexual harassment. I mean, the guy's a piece of shit. There's no doubt about it. He really is. I mean, there's nothing good about a Cuomo, especially in this case. But he was running against this guy. And you would have thought that the name Cuomo would have got him elected New York City mayor. You really would have. I was surprised. That's how badly the name Cuomo has fallen. I mean, this is like saying Clinton or, I don't know, Kennedy. I mean, this was a big deal. Cuomo's were known. They really were. They had a lot of power. It's like being a Brown in California or a Newsom. And he got beat by this guy because this guy promised the low IQ voter that he was going to get things for free, that he was going to improve things. He was going to fix the bus system. He was going to fix the subways. He was going to fix the ports. He's going to fix everything. I'm going to take care the congestion downtown. I'm going to take care of all this. I'm going to fight. I'm going to make sure that your food's affordable. You're going to have free daycare, all this nonsense. And what has he provided to the average New York City dweller? None of that. As a matter of fact, the price of transportation within the city on the bus lines and the subway have gone up since he took office. So he couldn't even keep that promise. This guy is unbelievable. He really is. Now he's got this idea, this brilliant idea that he's going to build grocery stores, government-run grocery stores in the city of New York. He's going to make one in each borough. So there's going to be 5 of them. 5 grocery stores, all run by the government. I mean, it's going to be run by a third party, but they're going to work for the government. We've got $70 million we're going to do this with. Well, we find out then that one of the stores alone is going to cost $30 million. I don't know how that works. I don't know who did the numbers on this, but I've seen interviews with people who are in this business and have been in this business for years, generations sometimes, being asked, $30 million sounds like a lot. What could you open a grocery store in New York City for if you were going to open it? I've seen it several times by different individuals. They'll tell you between $1 and $2 million, I could get this building built. Take another $1 million to stock it and to bring people in to work it. And for less than $5 million, I could start this business. Now, if you understand how the grocery store business works, and most people do, but I'm going to go over it right quick, their profit margin is between 1% and 2%. That means for every dollar they bring in, profit-wise, they may make between 1 and 2 cents per dollar. So it's all about volume. They have to sell tons of this stuff in order to make a profit. And it can be done. There are people who know how to do it. But the government ain't one of them. Okay? So what he's going to do is he's going to bring in, this is the plan, we're going to build this building. One is going to be in Harlem. Okay? Matter of fact, they were touring it the other day. They went down for a tour of where this building's going to be. No construction started yet. Nothing. These things won't be built for a couple of years if they start tomorrow, and they're not starting tomorrow. And you know how that works. You know how the schedule on construction in situations like this. It could go on for a decade. Look at the bullet train, or the train in supposed to run from LA to San Francisco. Billions of dollars poured into it, and they don't even have a mile of track laid. So I rest my case. This is the government you're dealing with. You think you're actually going to, if they know ahead of time that they're projecting the cost of this one grocery store to be $30 million, I would say, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, it's going to cost at least twice that. So out of your $70 million, you're going to spend $60 million to open one grocery store. Because I can predict this right now and say, okay, it's August 20th, 2026. I'm standing here right now saying they will only build one of these if they get it done. There's not going to be 5 of them. There's not going to be one in each borough. They're not going to be able to afford it. And what they will say is we're going to do an experiment this one so that we know we get it right and we get it done correctly. And what will happen is it will go out of business, just like the one in Kansas City did. It will go out of business and they'll just kind of glaze over it, sweep it under the carpeting. That's what they'll do. No one will know anything about this at the end of the day. In 10 years, you won't even remember this. It'd be a vague memory. They tried this in Kansas City and just, on the other side of the state from me. They tried this it was a government-run grocery store. It was in business for about 3 months and it went out of business because it couldn't make it. Yeah, and he's talking about selling things at 30% below what your local neighborhood grocery store is going to sell it for. 30% less. How do you compete with that? Imagine being one of these bodega owners. You know, a bodega it's a small grocery store. Imagine working 16 hours a day and having the government come in and run a business that is exactly like the one you run. And they're going to sell things at 30% cheaper. How long do you think you're going to be in business? You're certainly, let's say a gallon of milk costs $2.50. And probably in New York City, let's make it $3. I'm selling for $3 a piece. Place down the street is selling for $2. Where's your customers going to buy milk at? Down the street. Yeah, but the funny thing is, they're not even going to make sure that New York City residents are the ones that are shopping here, because New York City is a non-ID city. So you can vote, you can do whatever you want. You don't need an ID. Well, they're saying you don't need an ID to shop here now. So what would stop somebody from New Jersey driving all the way, coming from his grocery store in a small town in New Jersey, driving all the way to one of these government-owned grocery stores, buying all the milk, and taking it back to New Jersey and selling it at a profit? What would stop that? Nothing. You can't stop it because we're not going to have IDs. We're not going to show we're a resident. We're not going to force anybody to show we're a resident from New York City. They said that out loud. This is the most ridiculous, suicidal, stupid thing I've ever seen. And it's coming from Mamdani. And here's what's funny is, I'm going to show you right here. I want to show you. Here's the here they are down there. They're basically on an empty lot. There's no construction going on there. There's no trucks parked anywhere. Listen to this. Big Apple officials took prospective bidders on a pathetic tour Wednesday of trash-strewn empty lot in East Harlem, where Mayor Zohran Mamdani planned the $30 million city-owned grocery store is supposed to become a reality. It says the bidders wore hard hats on the City Economic Development Corporation led tour to the under the Metro North Viaduct site next to La Marquata, despite no work actually being done yet. Yeah. I mean, how do you get this across to someone? They got vendors down there. They're prospective people that are going to run this for the city. They've got prospective people, companies who they're going to hire to run the city to run this grocery store for them. And they're going, I don't know. I said, this guy said, this particular vendor said, and this is a quote, he says, "We're very cautiously optimistic about this potential project and what this potential project means to the community and food deserts." You know what they're talking about when they talk about a food desert? That means it's a place in a city that has there's no ability to buy groceries at. Okay. So you would have to drive or take the bus possibly miles away to buy your groceries to live. Why are they deserts? Well, I can tell you why. Because of theft and violence and crime. That's why. And most of this violence and crime are perpetrated by a particular segment of society. We all know who they are, okay? Even the black community knows who they are. And we can't arrest them. We just let them come in and steal everything, and we don't call the cops. Cops can't arrest them. No, they let them steal whatever they want. That's why this is not going to work. That's one of the many, many reasons this is not going to work. They tried it in Kansas City. I was talking about it earlier. I didn't finish that thought. They tried this in Kansas City. They said, we're gonna start this grocery store, and it's going to be government run. Prices are going to be lower. All sounds great. All sounds fantastic. They sell this to the public. They use government funds to run it, and it falls flat on its face inside of 3 months. Stocked it fully, let the community come in, the citizens come in. They stole it blind. They stole everything. So you have no money to restock. So you're out of business. And guess what? It's closed now. And it's just a distant memory to the city officials in New York, in Kansas City, who are Democrat, by the way. The worst run cities in America are all run by Democrats. There's no getting around that. The most dangerous cities in America are all run by Democrats. And most of those are run by black women who are Democrats, who are totally unprepared and unqualified to do any of these. Call me a racist all you want. The numbers tell the story, okay? Why is it that the most dangerous cities in America are all run by Democrats? Why is that? It makes perfect sense. You're talking about the defund the police group. That's who you're talking about. You're talking about the group that wants something for nothing. That's the Democrats, and that's definitely the Democratic Socialists of America. The Democratic Party is going to split in two. I predicted this, and I think it's still going to happen. It may not happen the day after the midterms, but it won't be long afterwards. There's so much infighting in the Democratic Party right now. There's no way they stay together. No, because the sane people in the Democratic Party, which I was a member of, they're going, these guys are crazy. This radical group, they're out of their minds. There's no way we can continue to do this. But you've got that radical group that wants to be in control of everything. And this is a perfect example of it. This is a plan to destroy America. You want to know why? What's that cat doing? Just be quiet. The plan is to destroy America. The world, during the Biden administration and every Democrat prior to that, they're sending us, they're idiots, they're morons, the worst of their population. That's who they're sending to America. They're violent people. That's who they're sending to us. And they, when they get here, are hooking up with our idiots. And they're having children by the thousands. And you and I, as taxpayers, are helping to fund these people, to support them. It's a perfect plan. It makes perfect sense. You're letting them come in and you're defending their existence, even though they're illegal. That's what's going on. The world is sending us their trash. That's what they're doing. And we're applauding it. A group in America is applauding it. All right, I got distracted there, but I wanted to go back to Mr. Mamdani. I want to read this. This one reporter was tagging along with the field trip, and he asked one prospective vendor who said he was happy that the mayor was doing something about rising food prices, but said he wouldn't like to be put in the position of competing with the government-run stores. Well, no shit. Listen to this. Listen to this guy.
Great community, but there's definitely need for something like this. I'm glad that the mayor did address it because a lot of people are struggling. I mean, with these food prices, inflation, economic uncertainty, I think the people in this area would appreciate something like this.
Would you have liked it if this opened up while you were running?
Yeah, there's the key to it right there. There's the key to it right here. Asking that question. I like this reporter because he asked that question. Would you want to compete with this?
Candidly, I wouldn't. I mean, it's just going to bite out a little more of a market share. And stores are already struggling during this economic period. So as a retailer, no.
No, of course
not.
As
a New Yorker who sees the everyday struggle, I do.
What does that even mean? What is he talking about? This guy was a business runner. He ran a business. What kind of an answer is that? Oh, I think it's a great idea for the city to have this, but I wouldn't want it next door to me. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Yeah, no kidding. And here's the thing. Here's the thing, folks. Here's who's running this shit show. Okay. Yeah. Now this reporter also talked to the lead official for Mayor Mamdani's New York City grocery. Okay. This is the person that's running this. Look at this.
I think ultimately the goals of these locations, not just here in East Harlem, but any borough location, is to be complementary to the neighborhood, and really rising tides, right? We can all cooperate and work together in a meaningful way.
You mind?
We can all work together. Rising tides. You've heard that story. Rising tides raise all ships. Look at her. Look at this nitwit. Bald-headed. You can imagine her belief system, right? She doesn't have a clue what she's talking about.
What is the? I've
Listen
heard
to
that
this.
term from EDC officials that these are meant to be complementary. What does that mean? What does that complementary mean in terms of policy, operations, and things like that?
Yeah, I think we're, as an agency, looking at a number of different complementary, policies and programs, grants, incentives that can come alongside these grocery stores to support other, local independent businesses that are in the neighborhoods.
Here's the problem with that logic. That's also going to be government funded. It's going to come out of the taxpayer's pocketbook. Okay, that's why this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So what you're going to do is you're going to give discounted food to the public, and then you're going to have to give incentives to the guy that runs a store down the street that's competing with those lower prices. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And this is the nitwit that's in charge of this. Bald-headed. She's got a shaved head, folks. A shaved head. She doesn't exactly, I don't know, I don't envision a very bright person here. Okay? Look at this. Now listen to this, the rest of this answer.
We're going to continue to listen, and we're going to continue to engage, and I'll be, alongside the operator as our partner, and like I said, making sure that we are complementary to the other businesses that are here in the neighborhood.
How the hell would you be complimentary to the other businesses in your area if you're undercutting them by 30%? These people make no sense whatsoever. Would not surprise me if this gal isn't a mayor of a town somewhere in the United States at some point. That's the kind of mentality they want. Listen to the rest of this.
Other locations, other grocery stores can get grants from the city under this?
Something on the table. We're exploring a lot of different options and opportunities. I think there's a whole host of levers that the EDC is able to work within to make sure that everyone has equitable and equal access to opportunities here.
Thank you.
God. Oh man, I tell you. Look, private grocers. It says right here in this article here. It says private grocers and bodegas have to cover expensive things like rent, property taxes, payroll, utilities, insurance, and the full cost of their inventory. They then price these goods to cover those costs and maybe make a profit. Now, Mamdani's, by contrast, would have those costs absorbed or subsidized by taxpayers, allowing them to price their wares low and force competitors out of business. The mayor's office is trying to ease the fears of Big Apple grocers by promising them via the lead official for Mamdani's New York grocery stores that there will be taxpayer money and free stuff for them too. Everyone gets a handout. This makes no sense, folks. This guy and this woman are running this show. What is going on here? Let's listen to the rest of this. Let's see what she's got to say here. That's not going to work. That's okay. Anyway, bottom line is grocery stores are going to, they formed a coalition and they're going to sue the local government. They're going to sue the city of New York because, and they're right, they have a plan to sue to stop the city from using taxpayer dollars to payroll competitors that can offer of artificially low prices while avoiding the costs that private grocers have had to absorb for years to keep their doors open. And at the end of the day, the empty lot strewn with garbage is an apt metaphor for Mamdani's grocery scheme, a socialist dream with a big price tag and not much reality underneath it. And I'd say that's accurate. I would say that's very accurate. These people are, I don't understand how they come to this idea that somehow or other discounting foods. Why wouldn't you just give subsidies to the grocery stores in the area? Wouldn't that be the logical way to do it? Take your $70 million and give subsidies to these bodegas and grocery stores so that they can lower their prices. I mean, wouldn't you be skipping a step or two there? I think you would. I think it makes perfect sense. And I'm not a big fan of that either, honestly, because at the end of the day, it's still taxpayer subsidized. Look, Democrats do a great job. They love spending someone else's money until they run out of it. That's the key to it. They love spending other people's money. They do. And they will continue to do it until somebody draws the line. And I feel that the voters should rebel against this guy. There should be a recall in New York City. There's one being called for in Seattle right now. Katie Wilson. She's similar to this, but she's running Seattle. Absolutely unqualified to be doing it. They're organizing a recall. I think the same should happen in New York. Because the city's going to implode. They may never recover from this. It may take decades. These kind of policies are the kind of policies that take down nations. Look at Venezuela. Look at Cuba. These are the kind of policies that take these nations down. And we need to stop it. So anyway, that's all I got today, folks. Thanks for listening. And if you can, subscribe, and you can like. And we'll see you next time. You have a good day. Peace out.